everybody to our regular scheduled City Planning Commission meeting. I got to get back up to the top here. You have an agenda in front of you. There are no additional handouts. I call this meeting to order. In attendance, we have, Justin's already taken attendance. The only member that is not here at this time is Pat Fair, and he said he would be a little late tonight. So we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move to approve.
Motion by Kinnear, second by Keelan, that we approve the agenda. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. You have minutes from the public hearing at September 4th and also the minutes of our regular meeting on September 4th. Those are in your packet. Unless you see any changes that you'd like to make, we just need a motion to approve these and put them on file.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Barrett, second by Olson, that we approve the two Planning Commission minutes from last month. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Down to action items, we have resolution number 1437. This is recommending an amendment to the City of Waupaca year 2030 comprehensive plan for lots 1, 2, and 3 and outlot 1 of CSM 6928. And is Andrew doing this? Yes. And Andrew, you want to just tell us what's going on here?
Absolutely. This is just a continuation, more of a formality tonight, continuation of the previous discussion regarding the property of Fulton Tower Ridge Apartments. I think I mentioned in the previous meetings, Swiderski, owner, developer of that property, is interested in doing a phase 2 on the lot, what was currently referred to as lot 3. Of that CSM. That's everything sort of between Fulton Street and Stone, what's platted out or as Stone Ridge Road. They would like to do additional multifamily development on that lot and have prepared a justification for rezoning this parcel. And so tonight, really, the purpose was to kind of take the first step forward with that rezoning of the project, which is essentially amending the comp plan, a future land use map. I think you guys call it a preferred land use map, so that we can move forward with the rezoning. And if this resolution's passed or we continue down this path, then at your next Plan Commission meeting, I think it's November 6th, you'll get a chance to look at the site plan and we'll dig into the weeds on the design.
Okay, so what we're just looking for tonight is just to amend the comprehensive plan so that this would be an allowable change to this property, right?
Correct.
Okay, so any questions? Anybody would like to make a motion?
Yeah, I would move to approve.
Motion by Keelan,
Second.
second by Barrett, that we recommend to council resolution number 1437. This is changing or amending our City of Waupaca 2030 comprehensive plan. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, and then next, Andrew, we have the text amendment to signage code.
And I would probably I can
do that one.
defer to probably Justin on this one.
So internally, Rhonda and I have identified that our newest zoning district, which is PUL or public utility, was lacking or missing signage requirements or conformance. So we became aware of this as the county has built their new facility out on A, which is the first facility in this new zoning district. Moving forward, we expect other public buildings to, I guess, get rezoned into this, which would include this building here, the courthouse, future public works facility. So we would need some sort of guidance on what kind of signage we can have in front of all these buildings. So we just kind of looked at, well, what is the typical uses? And we figured that most similar to the public lands is very similar to I-1, I-2, and then also the B1 district. So looking at the table, this table is basically the existing table within the zoning code minus what is highlighted here. This change would add this to the signing code. So then all future developments within this district would conform to this. You can see it's very consistent. And we feel that it fits what is intended for future public facilities.
So that the first page where you talk about justification for rezoning, and then the second page is just talking about the different zoning districts we have. And then what you did on the third page is just put all that into an ordinance form? Is that right?
Well, the justification for rezoning was for the previous action item.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
You on sheet 18?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'm on page 19, but
Yeah, 19 is just showing, the highlight is the addition to the table into the wording. That's 17.310 signs, 4, and then paragraph 3, including the PUL district in that wording. And then the ordinance would just codify it to be within the code to enforce in the future.
okay. So who produced this ordinance? You did?
With the help of Rhonda, yes.
Okay. Okay, so what we would be doing, if commissioners, if you're okay with this, then we would be recommending to council that they act on this new ordinance. And of course, once it gets to the council level, you have to have a public hearing, and then we also have to have 2 readings of that ordinance. So, but this is our time to discuss this if we're okay with it, or if we're not okay with it. This is our opportunity to give our information to the council. So,
Are there any other subsections like signs or anything else that need to also be looked at to accommodate the PUL district? Landscaping requirements, anything like that?
No, this was the only one that came apparent to us when we.
Okay, all right. Where it specifically calls out the zoning districts in a table. Yeah, okay.
And signs are prohibited in R1 and R2?
That's correct.
There's bits of language in there as to what you can have if there's a home business or something like that in R1 and R2, but it's not table worthy.
Right.
So there's some discussion about that, I believe so.
I
If I
think there
remember
is.
correctly, ordinance a while back.
yeah, let's stay away from that for tonight here, huh? Let's just talk about this. huh?
This page?
Yeah, let's
Sounds
just-
good, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's good, it gives guidance to,
I think to clear that point, the individual zoning code would spell out, if it had a special wording within it, it would be in that zoning code. Otherwise, they refer to this. So you can see a majority of them just refer to here. The PUL did not refer to anything, which means there was no signing code available for that district.
yep. So now you can have signs on the Public Works building if you need them, and
Yep.
utility buildings if they need them. Yeah, I think
Yep.
it's not, conforms to the smaller, kind of the industrial areas, the smaller business districts. I don't think there's any need for bigger or anything like that. Looks to conform to the other size standards of the other districts, to me. Looks
Yep.
good.
Okay.
Conflict of voting for this?
I don't think so.
Yep.
You're fine. Okay, so we would, if you want to, you would be recommending to city council that they approve of ordinance number 0819. Anybody want to make the
I
motion?
will make that motion.
Motion by Keelan, second by Olson, was it? That we recommend to council the adoption of ordinance number 0819, 2019. Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, and then we're to the fence ordinance. Who's doing that one?
I can.
Okay.
So this was obviously carryover conversation from our last meeting. This is something that we put on the agenda in hopes that we would have an ordinance to us by this meeting. I had a conversation with Tom Hart at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and there was not one prepared. I think he's backlogged with some work. He assured me that there would be one prepared within the next 2 weeks to come forward in the November meeting. So that is where we're at with that. So I guess I would just ask that this gets tabled till the November meeting.
Yeah, let's make a motion that we table this and bring it back to our November planning commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Kinnear, second by Barron, that we table the discussion on the fence ordinance until our November 6th meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, these are under discussion items. This is Waupaca School District, their 905 10th Street conceptual property division discussion. That's how it's worded on here, so that's how I'm reading it.
I can take this one.
Aaron?
Mayor.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go, if you wanna just go to the map after that, Justin, sorry. There we go.
Wow, Andrew is pretty talented.
So I was contacted by the school district of Waupaca early September, and I know that they had reached out to the city in early August. I think just with all the moving pieces in the city here lately, there's a little bit of delay in getting back. So over the last month, we've been working on a project that they would like to do, and that involves dividing this parcel, this right now that you're looking at off of 10th Street in Columbia. So this would be probably better known as the old bus garage. They're looking at subdividing that property into 4 lots instead of the 1 that it is now, and keeping the 2 lots that would be the furthest south, and they are marked as 1 and 2 on the page, and then 3 and 4 would be sold off to help offset what I believe they'll be building a second structure on that second lot, and the sales of those 2 other lots will help offset that. So we just wanted to bring this forward as a discussion. This isn't something that we would do in a normal circumstance, but we understand that there is an offer for Lot 4, and there's some timetable that the buyer wants to make sure that this is something that could go forward. We're just trying to make sure that we're not ruining a sale here for the school district. So what's going to happen is in November, they've gotten their applications in. We're going to go through the certified survey maps, special use applications. And the reason we're going to bring a special use application forward with this is that that building in Lot 4, where the prospective buyer will need that to operate as they want. They're going to operate out of it just as it always has been. It's been used as a maintenance of vehicles facility for the bus garage in the past. It will be used in the exact same manner for the prospective buyer. And that'll all be coming forward. I just wanted to make sure that we got this kind of concept out there, and that there wasn't any huge concerns with what we're looking at. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer in more detail. As far as we can tell, the lot lines and everything, we don't have any problems with setbacks. Now, this is all conceptual. Obviously, we would need the actual survey to be done and confirm that. Really no concerns there. The only issue I will say that was talked about amongst staff is it was brought up that the special use in that district, it can be interpreted that the use of that, let's say it's mechanics, I don't know how you want to put this, vehicle repair, things like that, is supposed to possibly be the primary use and not the secondary use to that organization. In this case, it would be the secondary use. It doesn't explicitly state that in the special use provision. It's been a way it's been interpreted for some time. So that's the only possible stumbling block. I guess if you were to ask my opinion, as I read the special use provisions, I think the use that it has been for a long time would fit fine in this area. It wouldn't be any further disturbance on that neighborhood. It's been used like that since I've been around. And I guess my recommendation, and I think our staff's overall recommendation would be that the subdivision of the property along with the special use permit would be a good use of that area. And we would like to move forward with this and come forward with all the formalities in November.
Okay, so this was just trying to feel out the commissioners to see if they're okay with this, and then if they are, then we would move forward with this at the next meeting. Is that how you explained it?
That is correct. And if I was incorrect in any of that, Carl Hayek's here, business manager from the school district. Feel free to correct me, or if anyone would have any questions for me or Carl, I'm sure Carl would be happy to answer them.
That was correct, Eric.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, but if you, behind lot number 4 is where that new tower is going to, right? That's that we just talked about. I think it was at the last meeting or maybe the August meeting. That cell tower is going to be right there too, so, yeah. So, okay, I mean, from my standpoint, it's always been a garage. It was built to repair tractors, large trucks. And once the school district purchased it from the trucking company way back when, that's what they've been doing with it too. So I really don't see anything changing there, quite honestly. So I wouldn't have an issue with it. Anybody else?
What's the
comments?
current zoning for that parcel?
It is
B1.
B1, yeah.
Okay? Again, we're not doing a formal motion here. We just want to make sure that the staff is going in the right direction here when they bring it back for the next meeting.
I would support it, Mayor.
Thank you, Justin.
Excuse me.
Awesome. Okay, remind me again what was going to go on with Lot 3, or were you?
We do not know yet. It would be sold, but we do not know what that use would be yet.
Okay. And that's zone B1 also?
Correct.
It's all B1.
The whole thing?
Yep,
Okay.
that whole block, I believe, is B1.
Okay.
So,
All right.
So you're looking at, Aaron, this would be with the CSM subdivision of the property, the special use permit would be all that's needed. Is that what we've identified so far procedurally for approvals? And
Yeah, that is correct. We'd have to formally we'd have to have the CSM to subdivide the property, and then the special use permit would come forward all at the November meeting. So no action needed today. But I just wanted to keep the ball moving forward here, and make sure that, I guess we were all supportive of the concept.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on then. So we'll look at this at the next meeting.
Yeah, and then Carl, like I said, I'll be in touch with you probably before the end of the week, just on the special use permit that was handed in, and we'll kind of walk you through how to get the things we need to keep it moving for the November meeting. All right, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Bob.
All right, next up on discussion items is the comprehensive plan and zoning code update.
How do we want to do? We want to tag team it?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll give a little update, and then Aaron, you fill in any of the blanks. We have kind of taken the next step, because Aaron and I putting together a plan to update the comprehensive plan as well as the zoning code, and we've talked about this several meetings, so I'm not going to belabor it, but I put together a timeline that integrates the two projects. Our intent, or the way we have this scoped out currently, is that staff would lead the comprehensive plan update, and especially with Rhonda and the GIS capabilities, we could do a fantastic job of doing that in-house, and achieving some efficiencies there. But then the zoning update part of it, we'd like to do that with the help of an outside consultant, that Jeff Sanders, who did the zoning diagnostic and who gave a presentation here a few months back. So Jeff put together a kind of a draft proposal. Might need a little massaging here to make sure everything fits, but I think the intent was to have a little bit more conversation with Aaron, but to come back in November with...
Can you use your mic, please?
Oh, sorry. I think the intent was to come back in November with a kind of a work plan, timeline, kind of a detailed timeline for you, give sort of overview of the project, and kind of formally kick that process off. We would be doing... I'd like to take a look at a few of the sub areas in a little bit more detail. The Fulton Street corridor is being one, with the closing of Kmart and Shopko, and just the trends of retail are not heading in a positive direction. And you have this whole district that was really created to support, a lot of these big box retail formats. So I'm thinking we'd like to. I'm proposing that we spend some time looking at that as kind of a special area. I think that's up for discussion. That's one of the things I think would be nice at our next meeting, to have some discussion back and forth from you guys in terms of what that looks like. Do we want to, is that an area where, as Brendan, if Brendan were here today, he'd probably argue that, that would be an area where you'd like to see some kind of form-based codes or some type of aesthetic guidelines or standards put in place. Is that something we want to look at as part of this comp plan update, zoning code update? And then the other one that's kind of emerged is the East Gateway area. And so, as some of you are probably aware, you have a set of standards for the East Gateway that were developed, and as conditions have changed out there, and as we've had some conversations with the airport manager, and things have evolved out there, that it seems like it might make sense to do a little bit of a focus on that area as part of this update as well. And let's see, but yeah, I guess just overall timetable wise, we were looking at probably 6 to 8 months for that zoning code rewrite, and probably more like 13 to 14 months for the comp plan update. We think that, at least I believe we could, especially utilizing drawing from a lot of the plans you've already done, the downtown plan, you've got an arts and culture plan, you've got a number of different planning efforts that you've gone through recently. I think we can draw a lot of good stuff out of there for the comp plan update, and keep it fairly streamlined process going forward. And then I guess one last thing I'll say, so the intent would basically be to sort of get out of the gates with doing some of the background research. Some of the old plans that folks did, like myself, after that smart growth law was passed, we went through and created these phone book plans, I call them. And so we really, at that point in time, I think people were concerned that the DOA was going to go through and, look through these things with a fine-tooth comb. The reality is that has not transpired. And so looking at the statutes, I really think we could produce a much leaner plan that's a lot more readable and concise. So the thought would be to do kind of the background existing conditions stuff over a period of 2-3 months, do some listening sessions, et cetera. And then we would move into drafting the document probably spring of next year. And the idea would be to come forward to the Plan Commission. I propose that we will bring like one or two chapters forward per Plan Commission meeting and kind of stagger them. So we'd have maybe for each chapter you'd get 2 kicks at the can. And then Jeff can, if you decide to utilize Jeff or any other zoning consultant, he could, Jeff said at least he would feel confident that zoning code could be adopted and finished by summer of next year, July next year.
Yeah, I think you covered pretty much all of it. The 2 documents that you and Jeff prepared that I've seen just in the last day, you anticipate those coming forward probably at the next?
Yeah, I thought we would we just put together a work plan and a schedule and Jeff's proposal. I thought we could include that with the Plan Commission packet for next month.
Yeah, I think that makes
And I
sense.
guess I'll say one other thing, and just something to maybe think about for next meeting. Sometimes communities will put together a steering committee for a project like this, or an advisory committee comprised of different individuals, in the community beyond just the Plan Commission or separate from the Plan Commission. Other communities will just use the Plan Commission as the body that develops the comp plan. And I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way to do it. I had some discussion with Justin a little bit about this too, and I think there's some trade-offs, and it kind of depends to some extent how much you guys have on your plate and what your bandwidth is to do this kind of update. My observation is it seems like you guys represent kind of a nice cross-section of the community, and if we did do it just with the Plan Commission without an advisory committee or steering committee, we could supplement some other stakeholder groups through some SWOT analyses or focus groups. But given the fact that these meetings aren't too terribly long, and that there's, from what I've seen at least, they haven't. If we move through the agenda fairly quickly, it seems reasonable that we could move forward and just have the Plan Commission essentially prepare the plan. But that'd be something to think about if people feel differently and would want to do a steering committee. Certainly something we could take a look at.
Okay. So look forward to that throughout the winter here as we go through this. Next up then is just all the different reports, Andrew?
Yep, and not much to report here. It was of some minor building permits pulled out, a lot of just some mostly HVAC stuff and things like that. Rhonda mentioned the Church of Christ building was breaking ground, so I understand that's underway. Duncan has gotten approvals to do kind of an early start on some of their site prep work. So not too much activity on the building permit side. Similarly with code enforcement, Elizabeth didn't have any major issues to raise there either, fairly minimal. And then on my development update was pretty skinny as well. Been working on scoping out this comp plan zoning update. We've continued to have discussions with Nino Pedrelli, the developer for the St. Mary Magdalene Church, and we would anticipate still coming forward in November time period with some type of proposal. That's about it.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If not, I guess we're ready to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Keelan, second by Kinnear that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We're adjourned at 5:48 PM. Drive safe, stay warm,
Thank you.
don't wear shorts.
Cast the no vote.
It's cold out there.
One of these days.